an exciting part of the year for everybody as we get ready to get started with a new season and here a month away. So before I get to some comments about our preseason camp and everything, I do want to take a minute and congratulate the three honorees, new inductees to our University of South Florida Hall of Fame, Athletics Hall of Fame. Paul Griffin, former longtime AD that was here for 15 years whenever they started the football program. Obviously, Quentin Flowers, outstanding quarterback in our history, and then Erica Berggren with the volleyball team. Those three will be honored. I believe it's the East Carolina weekend, and really looking forward to spending time with them, and a great way to recognize them for their accomplishments and all their hard work while here at USF. Also want to congratulate Steve Walls, our longtime athletic trainer. Steve's been here since they started the football program over 25 years ago. And just this summer, Steve was inducted into the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida Hall of Fame. And so, there's a lot of people kind of behind the scenes that do a lot of work and maybe don't get recognized because they're not out in front, maybe. But Steve's done an awesome job here, made a big impact, and we're very glad to have him helping us with our football program. I think for me, this is always the beginning of kind of that new season, new journey. Our coaches, we've had our kind of hideaway meetings over the last 10 days where we kind of get away and really just kind of look at everything for the season and really kind of plan out the entire year, our calendar, and go through everything in the program, our culture and how we're going to do things and how we're going to travel and just really everything from A to Z. We take about 4 days. We went over to the Marshall Center and got in one of those conference rooms and kind of away from the building, away from the cell phones, and had 4 good days to really dig into that, and felt really good about that. Our players last week just completed their 8th week of summer workouts, and really pleased with the feedback. AJ Artis, our strength coach, and his staff have done an outstanding job working with our young men this summer. AJ came over to the Marshall Center there during our hideaway, and him and the staff took about 2.5 hours and went through every single player, had a page of kind of what they've done this summer, where they've made the most growth, and maybe some areas they need to continue to work on. But the feedback overall was this was a challenging summer for our guys, which is good. We wanted to kind of turn it up a little bit. With our indoor construction, we were unable to use some of our practice fields, so we actually used the track and just kind of a different setting, and we're out there a little bit later maybe in the day, and so it was definitely a new level of maybe just overall grit and toughness to kind of part of the workouts, and I think the guys responded very well. I believe I talked a little bit after the winter workouts about something that we do with our players that our strength staff does called our grit scores. So every day during workouts this summer, again, we had 8 weeks, approximately 40 workouts. And after every workout, the strength staff would come back and they would give each player a grade from 0 to 4, where 4 is championship level effort, leadership, grit, everything that we want. 3 is a winner, 2 is average, 1 is below average, and 0 is 0. And those are scores that go out to the entire team every day. So you get to see where you are, you get to see where your teammates are, just an extra level of accountability and feedback for our guys. But really, I think the cool thing for me is whenever you take those averages from the entire summer, right? I went over that for the winter. We had 7 weeks of winter workouts, and we kind of had that top 10. And so after 8 weeks of summer workouts, averaging up their grit scores every day for 40 workouts. These were the top 10 in order. Number 1, Brad Cecil, and he had an average score of 3.65, really strong. Number 2 was Harry Bohannon, a new addition to our team. He got here right before summer began. He finished number 2 on the team. Trey Jacobs finished number 3. Byron Brown, freshman quarterback, who got here in January. He finished number 4th. Pretty impressive by a true freshman. Number 5 was Mitch Harris. Number 6, Jatorian Hansford. Also number 6 was Kelly Joyner. Number 8 was DJ Gordon. Number 9 was Will Jones. So it's great that's a good early sign, seeing him coming back from his knee injury. And then number 10 was Bayron Matos, coming over from basketball. That's pretty impressive. Bayron is huge, good-looking young man, has a lot, never played football before, but be able to come straight over here and all of a sudden be in the top 10. And, that's consistency day in and day out. And then the other thing I think is pretty impressive is there's 2 players that were in the top 10 of the grit score, out of 110 players in the spring, or in the winter workouts, which was January, February, and also top 10 in the summer. There was only 2 players that were top 10 in both, and that was Brad Cecil and Mitch Harris, both offensive linemen, 2 of our best leaders on our team, and really, pleased with that. Yesterday we had our big weigh-in. That's always an exciting part, kind of to start off fall camp. And, again, our guys had 8 weeks there in the summer and saw some really good transformation. It's really, for most of the guys, we're trying to add good weight. And that's more of a challenge when you're in Florida and out there running, an hour and a half each day in the heat. But our guys did a really good job. Just kind of point out a couple highlights of some guys that made some really big jumps. Defensive end Tremel Logan. When Tremel got here, maybe 2 years ago, he was 211 pounds. And in May, before we started the summer, he was 237. And then yesterday, he weighed in at 249. So 12 pounds over the summer, and really, whatever that is, close to 40 pounds since he's been here. So really impressive there. Jatorian Hansford, defensive end, he gained 10 pounds. He went from 255 to 265 there in those 8 weeks. Another transfer, defensive end, Jonathan Ross, went from 233 to 243, gaining 10 pounds. Amaris Brown, corner, gained 11 pounds, went from 186 to 197. And, these are good pounds, too. This isn't sitting on the couch eating potato chips and candy here. This is really, majority of this is muscle. Safety Matt Hill was able to gain 5 pounds, got up to 187. And 2 guys I'm really proud of from the receiver room. Xavier Weaver gained 10 pounds. I think he's at his heaviest now. He weighed in at 180. He's been below 170. He was at 170 to start the summer, 180 now. And then Jimmy Horn gained 10 pounds, going from 165 to 175. I think he probably played last year somewhere around 160. So good to see that. And then a couple of the guys that needed to lose some weight and really kind of tone down. Mitch Harris went from 324 to 315, lost 9 pounds. And then the big one, Zach Perkins, a young man transferred to us from Maryland. And he was really heavy when he got here. And he was 342 at the beginning of the summer. And he weighed in at 315 yesterday. So, that's really impressive because, what you don't always think about, some of those guys were showing up extra at 6 a.m. every morning, part of the breakfast group, coming in, getting extra conditioning and all that. So, number one, want to commend them for their hard work. And there's plenty of other players. That was just some of the highlights. And also want to thank our Coach Artis, our strength staff, and Jordan Laufenberg, our nutritionist. And then also our administration. We've really invested more resources in our nutrition for the summer, in the amount of food we were able to provide for our players, and then also the different nutritional supplements. That was a big emphasis, and I really saw that pay off at the big weigh-in. Just trying to catch up maybe on a couple roster things. Unfortunately, we had 3 players over the summer that had to retire from football due to some medical-related situations. You probably saw Vincent Davis smoke. Unfortunately, he had some things that were bothering him with his neck, and once they got in there and kind of looked into it, they made the determination that it was not going to be safe for him to continue playing football. Really tough blow for him because you watch him play, he's very passionate, hardworking, it's important to him, and but it's just one of these things that you got to look after his long-term health. And he's going to graduate this weekend, so really proud of him for that. And then he decided he wants to stay on and finish this season with his teammates. Many guys that he's been here for 5 years, and so he's going to stay on as a student coach. And there's actually a lot of things he's allowed to do as a student coach that maybe some of our analysts cannot do. So we're excited to have him move into that role. and make the best of a tough situation. Also, Kenny Scribner, who was our backup punter last year, was also our starting holder last year. He suffered a knee injury, and just kind of looking at that, kind of towards the end of his career, it was not going to be best for him to continue playing. He's going to stay, and he's going to be involved. He's chosen to be involved with Jeremy Lees there in the equipment room, so you never know, that could lead to a new future for him. And then Zach Mendoza was a transfer offensive lineman that we signed late there in May out of Snow College in Utah, big 6'7" offensive tackle that we were really excited about. And when he got here, he got his physical, and part of the physical, you have to get an EKG to check your heart, make sure everything's in good rhythm there. And unfortunately, as they looked at the EKG, there were some things there they didn't like, and then they went on and did several more tests, and found that what they look for when they're doing the EKG, that's what he had. So he's going to not be able to play football. And here he is. He's moved out, and he's married. Him and his wife moved thousands of miles from Utah here to Tampa to go play football, and then to get here and get that news that your football career is over. It's really difficult, but we gave him a lot of different options. He's chosen that he wants to stay here, and he also is going to help us as a student coach for the next couple of years, and so really tough news for him on that, but we're excited to have him stay with us as a student coach. We have added 3 new specialists to our team really in the last week, just because we had, with Kenny coming out, being out as the punter, and then also Matt Gresham, who was one of our long snappers last year, has decided to step away from football, and so he's not going to be back with us. So we added a kicker named Zach Sessa. He's from this area. I believe he played high school at Venice. Really talented young man with a very strong leg. Punter Colin McCrary, that played both football and baseball at Monmouth. He's got 1 year left as a punter, and so glad to add him to our team. And then long snapper Connor Gordon from Illinois is joined us as well. So just really had some needs there to make sure that we have 3 deep at each of those positions. I think that's pretty much it from a roster standpoint. Overall, really pleased where our team is, just overall kind of mindset. It's kind of always interesting for me. This is my 20th year, going to my 20th year as a coach, and 16th year as a college coach. And each year everybody's excited, but you can kind of tell during fall camp, and really, that meeting yesterday, the guys reported yesterday morning. You always have your administrative meetings where you bring a lot of the administration in to go over things they're going to need to know about for the season. And then that nightly meeting on report day is where the head coach gets a chance to really kind of lay out the vision and plan for the season and how we're going to attack it. And I can definitely tell from our meeting last night that our guys are focused. They're locked in. Those 12 super seniors that chose to come back, that it's very important to them and to the rest of our team that we do everything possible to have the most successful year that we can have. And really, the big focus is, win the day, right? And the way that you win the day is each of these meetings. I mean, we're going to have, hundreds of hours of meetings between now and the first game. And so just the attention to detail and improving the football knowledge and bringing on some of the younger guys that are going to be able to add some depth. And I think having that mindset of just kind of winning each meeting and winning each day, that's how ultimately you're going to win when the season gets here. So we still have some guys that are finishing up some summer exams today. So we'll go out tonight and do a kind of walk-through, jog-through on the field with the guys for about an hour. And then tomorrow morning will be our first full-speed practice of fall camp. And we'll get about 2.5 weeks before classes start on August the 22nd. And we'll get 25 practices total before our opener against BYU on the 3rd. Really the big message to our players, just like it was when we started spring, is, hey, we got a blank depth chart, right? I'm not going to hold up a sheet of paper this time so everybody can write their own messages for social media. My wife had fun in watching those. But I did present a blank sheet to our guys last night and say, hey, here's the depth chart for the BYU game, right? And we got 25 practices to figure out what that's going to look like. obviously we got to have a depth chart for tonight as we go out there in our first workout. But the depth chart for the BYU game is up in the air at every single position. And just because you might have started last year and the year before, and maybe just because maybe you had some success last year, right, you got to do it over. You got to start over, and you got to prove that this year's team, this is a new team, that you're the best person to go out there with that first group. And so the big message is you got to earn it. And I think that's something our guys have bought into. And then kind of maybe the last thing is just talk a little bit about the quarterback situation. I think obviously since maybe we met last, we brought in Gary Bohannon from Baylor, and really just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. The first thing I'll say is I firmly believe that we now have 2 quarterbacks on our roster that we can win with this fall. And I think that's different than the last 2 seasons. I think first year, I don't really know what was going on, and had COVID fall with everybody. Last year, we kind of were hopeful on a couple guys, but this year, I feel very confident that we have 2 quarterbacks that we can win with this season. Timmy, obviously last year was a true freshman, had a lot of big moments. He had some tough learning lessons too, as all freshman quarterbacks do when you're thrown out there. But really excited about his development. I thought he had a really good spring, and he's had an outstanding summer. I would say the thing I'm most pleased with Timmy is how he's responded this summer, really ever since Gary's gotten here. And that's part of the deal. Anytime that you're bringing new guys in, I can promise you, Antonio Greer and Dwayne Boyles practiced a lot harder this spring when DJ Gordon showed up, right, from Minnesota. And that's what I'm used to. The programs, the program I came from, man, there's competition in that room. And if you don't show up each and every day, you're going to get passed by. And so I've been really pleased by the progress of Timmy this summer, and just all the feedback that I've gotten from our team and from our strength staff. He's responded very well, just like I knew that he would. As far as us bringing Gary in, honestly, we weren't looking. We weren't out there saying we definitely got to bring another quarterback in, and we're definitely going to just find the best one we can. It was not that situation. It was more of a situation where Trey got in the portal there for a little bit there in December, and had some young freshmen coming in, and obviously with other guys leaving, you're sitting there saying, we got one guy right now that I feel like we can win with, and it's hard to have one guy. So in this new environment of the transfer portal, there's opportunities late in spring to add the right pieces to your puzzle. We've done that at every position, and quarterback's no different. So for us, kind of what Coach Trickett and I talked about was, if there's a guy out there that, number one, has experience, he has, just some football knowledge and football IQ, and just, a guy that's actually played and had success, at the highest level, that also has leadership abilities, that maybe he could add something to that room, and then also someone that would fit our culture and our team. I didn't want somebody coming in here that was just going to be trying to box out the other guys in the room, because that's not really where we are right now as a program, and not what I'm looking for. And so when Gary got in the portal, and we talked to the coaches at Baylor, we got very strong reviews about him as a person, as a leader, as a player. And we talked to him. He had some other very strong suitors that were after him, but we figured out pretty early on that he was very interested in South Florida, and interested in coming down here and being a part of our team. And so we brought him down. He's done a great job since he's been here, and done a good job this summer. It's been fun for me to see him and Timmy and Trey and the other quarterbacks working out all summer together, helping each other, watching video together, and just kind of seeing that whole group come together. I'm excited. And I think ultimately my job as the head coach is to make sure that we have enough talent, enough depth, and enough competition in every room, especially in the quarterback room, right, which is one of the most important parts of your team. And I think adding Gary to that room has checked all of those boxes. I talked to Coach Trickett and then Coach Chad Morris, who just joined us. Visited with them a little bit in the last couple of weeks, just trying to figure out how we're going to go through the process of finding a starting quarterback for BYU and for the season. And after talking to them a little bit, I called both Timmy and Gary in last week to go over the plan with them, and pretty much told them that what we're going to do is we're going to use the first half